must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout.
I didn't know. Okay.
In the name Boy Scouts.
Blue. Make sure you like and subscribe and go follow me on Patreon. It's only $5 a month and you get at least an extra video every week.
And then 3 black kids come flying out of nowhere, just start wailing on that cracker. Everyone's gonna be like, oh!
Today I'm going to be reacting to woke women getting owned.
First I want to direct this to Miss Skinny Minnie.
Which Miss Skinny Minnie?
Isn't her name Mimi or Skinny
Yeah, okay,
Minnie?
Mimi.
Well, the skinniest girl up there. Anyways, she made a comment that you have to have a lot of willingness and motivation to be skinny.
I was quoting Dr. Kelly Brownell of Yale.
Why is it okay for you to call her Skinny Minnie, but it's not okay for her to comment about someone's size that's larger?
Okay, you got me on that, but moving on. No chubby. No.
In this
Dr. Phil.
tyrannical patriarchy, of course, who's at the top? Men.
Some men.
White men.
Well, that's
White,
another
rich,
thing. It's
Anglo-Saxon men.
Well, first of all, it depends on which element of the hierarchy you look at. And second of all, it's not men, okay? It's a tiny percentage of men, and that's not the same as men. Because most men aren't at the top. In fact, if you look at people who are truly at the bottom, most of them are men. So it's a small proportion of men. And then it's a very arbitrary slice. It's like, okay, so you're saying, well, what are we saying exactly? There's a disproportionate number of white Anglo-Saxon men who are billionaires. Could easily be. What does that have to do with men exactly? Why is that a male thing? It's not like all these men are like that. They're not like that. It's a tiny proportion of people who are like that, and they do happen to mostly be men. But that doesn't indicate some fundamental inadequacy in the entire social structure. I mean, 99% of bricklayers are men. Is that a problem? Well, nobody ever points it out. Like, all you have to do is go on the U.S. Department of Labor website and you can look at occupation ranked by gender. There's about 50 occupations that are 95% men and over. You don't ever hear a word about them. Well, why? Because they're dusty, grueling, difficult, trade-related, intensely laborious outside jobs. Well, that's why. So, and why aren't we struggling for equality, gender equality among bricklayers? By force, let's say. From here on in, it's by fiat, man. 50% of women, they want to be nurses. No damn way. It's off to the brickworks with you.
You actually accurately
I'm a
states-
featured guest up with the floor.
I think that this video seems already pretty interesting. I liked the first part because the thing that of course stood out to me immediately is that this girl kind of, I don't know what to call it. I mean, she called her Skinny Minnie, and she claimed it's because she doesn't know her name. But at the end of the day, whenever the woman came back and addressed her, she didn't call her any type of name, and she didn't know what her name was either. So it's really not an excuse to make fun of somebody's like size, especially just because they're skinny, because it's like socially acceptable, because you can't make fun of people who are heavier, but you can totally make fun of people who are short or skinny or petite, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I also liked what Jordan Peterson said. I don't really know much about him. I honestly feel most of my understanding and knowledge about him have been through the videos that I've reacted to on YouTube. But so far I really like him. One of the things that stand out to me is how he, I don't even want to say argues, it's how he just debates. I really like how he speaks. He always sounds very calm. He sounds very intelligent. He sounds very well informed. And he just sounds like he really, really thinks things out before he talks, and you can't even see it because he responds so quickly. So I do really like him from what I've seen so far, even if it's a small amount, but I liked his response to her. I also appreciate that she let him speak because I've seen him be cut off before, but I liked that he pointed out that it's not really a battle between men and women. I mean, technically most men aren't up there either, so this really, really tiny percentage of you pointing out, oh, well, it happens to be mostly white men, is almost kind of unfair in his eyes, because it's like, okay, well, even if that's some type of percentage, that percentage doesn't actually dictate a higher percentage of what actually goes on in society. I mean, you're still kind of referencing a less than 1% of a group of people and then identifying that with an entire gender.
You actually accurately
I'm a
state-
featured guest at the Deplorable.
I know that you are. You're actually the only woman who's actually featured. Because guess what? It's a bunch of dudes. And I do not appreciate that.
Did you just call me a woman? I'm legally a man.
Are you?
Yes.
Do your viewers realize that?
Yes. I did a whole video on it.
You're legally a man?
I am legally a man.
Do you identify as a cis woman or a cis
I'm a
male
man.
or transgender?
I'm a man.
You're a man?
Yes.
Can I interject?
I'm surprised by that.
I just
My
wanna
apologies. I
interject.
never would have known that.
Cheers. All right. Well, make
Can I
sure to check
interject?
people's
So you-
pronouns first next time. I gotta
All right,
get going.
I'm gonna
But have
You
a
are
People don't have privilege when you basically just said that trans people aren't valid. They're not a thing. They're just girls pretending to be boys or boys pretending to be girls.
Okay.
Like, okay,
Oh, someone's excited. Okay.
biological, but gender is a completely different thing.
No, gender is not disconnected from sex. So,
It's not completely disconnected, but it's still a cultural thing. It's still from society.
okay, no, it is not in the mind. Okay, you're not a man if you think you're a man. And I didn't say pretending, or if I did, I shouldn't have said pretending. Let me
Said
amend.
playing.
Okay, I said a boy who thinks he's a girl. That's the usual phraseology I use. Not playing. I usually say a boy who thinks he's a girl or a girl who thinks he's a boy, which is technically what we're talking about here. The idea that sex or gender are malleable is not true. Okay, and I'm not denying your humanity if you're a transgender person. I am saying that you are not the sex to which you claim to be. But if you are going to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend that men are women and women are men, no. My answer is no. I'm not going to modify basic biology because it threatens your subjective sense of what you are.
Okay, but you're still saying these kids should like not be accepted because they don't really fit in either place. They can't just like.
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy
That's
Scout.
written though. Okay.
In the name Boy Scouts.
I've totally seen him before, I just don't remember his name. Honestly, even this clip looks familiar to me, but the conversation doesn't actually sound familiar. It just looks familiar. Maybe I've seen her before, I don't know. I liked the video right before this one I don't know who that person is. I'll go ahead and just say person, just to do it, just to be safe. But I did like how they said that. I don't know if it was just kind of like a twist to make that woman cave in on herself of, hey, let me just prove a point to you really quick because you just assumed my gender. Well, I just found it interesting. It was like they used that person's logic against her, and she didn't know what to say. If anything, it was a little shocking that she asked so many questions before accepting and or just apologizing or correcting herself. One of the questions was, do your followers know that? That question to me is a little interesting because, I mean, my first thought was, well, why does it matter if my follower, what does that have to do with what you just said or called me? If my followers know or don't know, maybe I don't want to tell my followers, but I'm telling you right now.
Because this is a very because for all of human history, boy meant boy and girl meant girl.
Have you talked to a group of trans people at all instead of just a group of like white people?
I'm more than happy to talk to a group of any people who will have me, but usually they protest me.
Okay, last question about your Planned Parenthood thing. So why do you think it's not about controlling women's bodies and just about the separate life? Like, after the baby is born, how come when people don't care about them? They don't care where they end up in foster care, they don't care about the mother being poor? Like,
Okay, I do care about the mother being poor, I do care about foster care.
okay, but why don't you advocate for that though? Because
For
Planned
what?
Parenthood is supposed to prevent abortions.
Because Planned Parenthood doesn't prevent abortions. They perform hundreds of thousands of abortions a year. They perform 300,000 abortions a year. They're the leading abortion mill in the United States.
Evidence for that though.
That they perform 300,000 abortions a year from Planned Parenthood. That's my evidence.
Oh gosh.
They don't dispute that. No one disputes that.
Like birth control and cancer.
I'm not anti-birth control.
I know.
Birth control is extraordinarily cheap.
That provides affordable birth control, which would in turn.
Okay, they're not the only people in America who provide affordable birth control. You can go get a pack of condoms down at the local CVS for $12.
Great, people need medication too.
Yes, and it's true that most forms of birth control are also extraordinarily cheap on an annualized basis, unless you have a severe problem. And I'm not against people going and getting that from Planned Parenthood. As you may have noticed, I'm mostly against abortion. If you want to go to Planned Parenthood and get a contraceptive, go for it. I don't care. I do care when you start killing babies. This is a problem for me.
Whoever edited that clip, I did find it a little humorous. It is like the Titanic music just zooming in on her face. I think I mostly find dialogues like this interesting because, again, regardless of what side you agree on, I just think that it's important to maybe have the conversation or to have dialogue. That way you can see it from two different perspectives and it's not somebody just shoving one side in your face and telling you that if you do try to share your opinion about the other side, it's just like not allowed. So even if sometimes people are made to look dumb or sometimes people don't have solid arguments, I think that it's healthy to look at professionals or even people speaking from both angles. That way everyone gets to kind of say what they believe in and their opinions. But yeah, I hope you guys liked this video, a little bit different and again out of my comfort zone. But let me know what you think in the comments. Keep it nice. And yeah, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and go check out all my links, including my Twitch and my Patreon and my second YouTube channel, and I'll see you all.